Section 38 of Library of the World's Best Literature, Ancient and Modern, Volume 2. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Bob Gonzalez. Library of the World's Best Literature, Ancient and Modern, Volume 2, Section 38. Excerpts from various plays by Aristophanes. The Origin of the Peloponnesian War. From the Acadians, Frere's translation. Dicaeopolis speaks. Be not surprised, most excellent spectators, if I that am a beggar have presumed to claim an audience upon public matters, even in a comedy. For comedy is conversant in all the rules of justice, and can distinguish betwixt right and wrong. The words I speak are bold, but just and true. Cleon, at least, cannot accuse me now that I defame the city before strangers, for this is the Lenaean festival, and here we meet, all by ourselves alone. No deputies are arrived as yet with tribute, no strangers or allies, but here we sit, a chosen sample, clean as sifted corn, with our own denizens as a kind of chaff. First, I detest the Spartans most extremely, and wish that Neptune, the Taenarian deity, would bury them in their houses with his earthquakes. For I've had losses, let me tell ye, like other people, vines cut down and injured. But among friends, for only friends are here, why should we blame the Spartans for all this? For people of ours, some people of our own, some people from among us here, I mean, but not the people. Pray remember that. I never said the people, but a pack of paltry people, mere pretended citizens, base counterfeits, went laying informations and making a confiscation of the jerkins imported here from Megara. Pigs, moreover, pumpkins, and pecks of salt, and ropes of onions, were voted to be merchandise from Megara, denounced and seized and sold upon the spot. Well, these might pass as petty local matters, but now, behold, some doughty drunken youths kidnap and carry away from Megara the courtesan Semetha. Those of Megara, in hot retaliation, seize a brace of equal strumpets, hurried forth perforce from Dame Aspasia's house of recreation. So this was the beginning of the war, all over Greece, owing to these three strumpets. For Pericles, like an Olympian Jove, with all his thunder and his thunderbolts, began to storm and lighten dreadfully, alarming all the neighborhood of Greece, and made decrees, drawn up like drinking songs, in which it was enacted and concluded that the Megarians should remain excluded from every place where commerce was transacted, with all their ware, like old Care in the ballad, and this decree, by land and sea, was valid. Then the Megarians, being all half starved, desired the Spartans to desire of us just to repeal those laws, the laws I mentioned, occasioned by the stealing of those strumpets. And so they begged and prayed us several times, and we refused. And so they went to war. The Poet's Apology. From the Acadians, Frere's translation. Our poet has never as yet esteemed it proper or fit to detain you with a long encomiastic song on his own superior wit. But being abused and accused, and attacked of late as a foe of the state, he makes an appeal in his proper defence to your voluble humour and temper and sense, with the following plea, namely, that he never attempted or ever meant to scandalize in any wise your mighty imperial government. Moreover, he says that in various ways he presumes to have merited honor and praise, exhorting you still to stick to your rights, and no more to be fooled with rhetorical flights. such as of late each envoy tries on the behalf of your allies, that come to plead their cause before ye, with fulsome phrase and a foolish story of violet crowns and Athenian glory, with sumptuous Athens at every word. Sumptuous Athens is always heard, sumptuous ever, a suitable phrase for a dish of meat, or a beast at graze. He therefore affirms in confident terms that his active courage and earnest zeal have usefully served your common weal. He has openly shown the style and tone of your democracy ruling abroad. He has placed its practices on record, the tyrannical arts, the knavish tricks, that poison all your politics. Therefore shall we see this year the allies with tribute arriving here, eager and anxious all to behold their steady protector, the bard so bold. The bard, they say, that has dared to speak, to attack the strong, to defend the weak. His fame in foreign climes is heard, and a singular instance lately occurred. It occurred in the case of the Persian king, sifting and cross-examining the Spartan envoys. He demanded which of the rival states commanded the Grecian seas. He asked them next, wishing to see them more perplexed, which of the two contending powers was chiefly abused by this bard of ours? For he said, such a bold, so profound an adviser by dint of abuse would render them wiser, more active and able, and briefly that they must finally prosper and carry the day. Now mark the Lacedaemonian guile, demanding an insignificant isle, Aegina, they say, for a pledge of peace, as a means to make all jealousy cease. Meanwhile their privy design and plan is solely to gain this marvellous man, knowing his influence on your fate, by obtaining a hold on his estate, situate in the isle aforesaid. Therefore there needs to be no more said. You know their intention, and know that you know it. You'll keep to your island, and stick to the poet, and he for his part will practise his art with a patriot heart, with the honest views that he now pursues, and fair buffoonery and abuse, not rashly bespattering or basely beflattering, not pimping or puffing or acting the ruffian, not sneaking or fawning, but openly scorning all menace and warning, all bribes and suborning. He will do his endeavor on your behalf. He will teach you to think. He will teach you to laugh. So Cleon again and again may try. I value him not, nor fear him, I. His rage and rhetoric I defy. His impudence, his politics, his dirty designs, his rascally tricks, no stain of abuse on me shall fix. Justice and right, in his despite, shall aid and attend me, and do me right. With these to friend I ne'er will bend, nor descend to a humble tone like his own, as a sneaking loon, a knavish, slavish, poor poltroon. The Appeal of the Chorus, from The Knights, Frere's translation. If a veteran author had wished to engage our assistance to-day for a speech from the stage, we scarce should have granted so bold a request. But this author of ours, as the bravest and best, deserves an indulgence denied to the rest, for the courage and vigor, the scorn and the hate with which he encounters the pests of the state, a thoroughbred seaman, intrepid and warm, steering outright in the face of the storm. But now for the gentle reproaches he bore on the part of his friends, for refraining before to embrace the profession, embarking for life in theatrical storms and poetical strife. He begs us to state that for reasons of weight he has lingered so long and determined so late. For he deemed the achievements of comedy hard, the boldest attempt of a desperate bard. The muse he perceived was capricious and coy, Though many were courting her, few could enjoy. And he saw without reason, from season to season, your humour would shift, and turn poets adrift, requiting old friends with unkindness and treason, discarded in scorn as exhausted and worn, seeing Magnes's fate, who was reckoned of late for the conduct of comedy captain and head, that so oft on the stage, in the flower of his age, had defeated the chorus his rivals had led, with his sounds of all sort that were uttered in sport, with whims and vagaries unheard of before, with feathers and wings, and 1,000 gay things that in frolicsome fancies his choruses wore. When his humour was spent, did your temper relent to requite the delight that he gave you before? We beheld him displaced and expelled and disgraced, when his hair and his wit were grown aged and hoar. Then he saw for a sample the dismal example of noble Curtinus, so splendid and ample, full of spirit and blood, and enlarged like a flood, whose copious current tore down with its torrent oaks, ashes, and yew, with the ground where they grew, and his rivals to boot, wrenched up by the root, and his personal foes, who presumed to oppose, all drowned and abolished, dispersed and demolished, and drifted headlong with a deluge of song. And his airs and his tunes, and his songs and lampoons, were recited and sung by the old and the young, at our feasts and carousals. What poet but he? And the fair Amphibribe, and the sycophant tree, masters and masons and builders of verse, those were the tunes that all tongues could rehearse. But since in decay you have cast him away, stripped of his stops and his musical strings, battered and shattered, a broken old instrument, shoved out of sight among rubbishy things. His garlands are faded, and what he deems worst, his tongue and his palate are parching with thirst. And now you may meet him alone in the street, wearied and worn, tattered and torn, all decayed and forlorn in his person and dress, whom his former success should exempt from distress, with subsistence at large at the general charge, and a seat with the great at the table of state, there to feast every day and preside at the play in splendid apparel, triumphant and gay. Seeing Crates the next, always teased and perplexed with your tyrannous temper, tormented and vexed, that with taste and good sense, without waste or expense, from his snug little hoard provided your board with a delicate treat, economic and neat, thus hitting or missing, with crowns or with hissing, year after year he pursued his career, for better or worse, till he finished his course. These precedents held him in long hesitation. He replied to his friends with a just observation, that a seaman in regular order is bred to the oar, to the helm, and to look out ahead; with diligent practice has fixed in his mind the signs of the weather and changes of wind, and when every point of the service is known, undertakes the command of a ship of his own. For reasons like these, if your judgment agrees that he did not embark, like an ignorant spark, or a troublesome lout, to puzzle and bother and blunder about, give him a shout at his first setting out, and pull away with a hearty huzza for success to the play. Send him away, smiling and gay, shining and florid, with his bald forehead. The Cloud Chorus. From The Clouds. Andrew Lang's translation. Socrates speaks. Hither, come hither, ye clouds renowned, and unveil yourselves here. Come, though ye dwell on the sacred crests of Olympian snow, or whether ye dance with the Nereid choir in the gardens clear, or whether your golden urns are dipped in Nile's overflow, or whether you dwell by Meotis mere, or the snows of Mimas, arise, appear, and hearken to us, and accept our gifts ere ye rise and go. The clouds sing. Immortal clouds, from the echoing shore Of the Father of streams, from the sounding sea, Dewy and fleet let us rise and soar, Dewy and gleaming and fleet are we. Let us look on the tree-clad mountain crest, On the sacred earth where the fruits rejoice, On the waters that murmur east and west, On the tumbling sea with his moaning voice, For unwearied glitters the eye of the air, And the bright rays gleam. Then cast we our shadows of mist and fare In our deathless shapes to glance everywhere, From the height of the heaven on the land and air, And the ocean stream. Let us on, ye maidens that bring the rain, Let us gaze on Pallas's citadel, In the country of sea-crops fair and dear, The mystic land of the holy cell, Where the rites unspoken securely dwell, And the gifts of the gods that know not stain, And a people of mortals that know not fear. For the temples tall and the statues fair, And the feast of the gods are holiest there, The feasts of immortals, the chaplets of flowers, And the Bromian mirth at the coming of spring, And the musical voices that fill the hours, And the dancing feet of the maids that sing. Grand Chorus of Birds, from The Birds, Swinburne's translation. Come on then, ye dwellers by nature in darkness, And like to the leaves' generations, That are little of might, that are moulded of mire, Unenduring and shadow-like nations, Poor plumeless ephemerals, comfortless mortals, As visions of shadows fast fleeing. Lift up your mind unto us that are deathless, And dateless the date of our being. Us, children of heaven, us, ageless for aye, Us, all of whose thoughts are eternal, That ye may from henceforth, having heard of us All things aright as to matters supernal, Of the being of birds, and beginning of gods, And of streams, and the dark beyond reaching, Trustfully knowing aright, in my name Bid Prodicus pack with his preaching. It was chaos and night at the first, And the blackness of darkness, and hell's broad border. Earth was not, nor air, neither heaven, When in depths of the womb of the dark without order, First thing, first born of the black-plumed night, Was a wind-egg hatched in her bosom, Whence timely with seasons revolving again, Sweet love burst out as a blossom, Gold wings glittering forth of his back, Like whirlwinds gustily turning. He, after his wedlock with chaos, Whose wings are of darkness, in hell broad burning, For his nestlings begat him a race of us first, And upraised us to light new lighted. And before this was not the race of the gods, Until all things by love were united. And of kind united in kind with communion of nature the sky and the sea are brought forth, And the earth, and the race of the gods everlasting and blessed, So that we are far away the most ancient of all things blessed. And that we are of love's generation, there are manifest manifold signs. We have wings, and with us have the love's habitation, And manifold fair young folk that forswore love once, Ere the bloom of them ended, have the men that pursued and desired them subdued By the help of us only befriended, With such baits as a quail, a flamingo, a goose, Or a coxcomb staring and splendid. All best good things that befall men come from us birds, As is plain to all reason, for first we proclaim and make known to them spring, And the winter and autumn in season, bid so when the crane starts clanging for Afric in shrill-voiced emigrant number, And calls to the pilot to hang up his rudder again for the season and slumber, And then weave a cloak for Orestes the thief, Lest he strip men of theirs if it freezes. And again thereafter the kite reappearing Announces a change in the breezes, and that here is the season for shearing your sheep of their spring wool. Then does the swallow give you notice to sell your greatcoat, and provide something light for the heat that's to follow. Thus are we as Ammon or Delphi unto you, Dodona, nay, Phoebus Apollo. For as first ye come all to get auguries of birds, even such is in all things your carriage, be the matter a matter of trade, or of earning your bread, or of any one's marriage. And all things ye lay to the charge of a bird that belong to discerning prediction. Winged fame is a bird, as you reckon. You sneeze, and the signs as a bird for conviction. All tokens are birds with you, sounds too, and lackeys and donkeys. Then must it not follow that we are to you all as the manifest Godhead that speaks in prophetic Apollo? A Rainy Day on the Farm. From The Peace, Frere's translation. How sweet it is to see the new sown cornfield fresh and even, with blades just springing from the soil that only ask a shower from heaven. Then, while kindly rains are falling, indolent to rejoice, till some worthy neighbor calling cheers you with his hearty voice. Well, with weather such as this, let us hear. Trygæus, tell us what should you and I be doing? You're the king of us good fellows. Since it pleases heaven to prosper your endeavors, friend and mine, let us have a merry meeting with some friendly talk and wine. In the vineyard, there's your lout, hoeing in the slop and mud. Send the wench and call him out. This weather he can do no good. Dame, take down 2 pints of meal, and do some fritters in your way. Boil some grain and stir it in, and let us have those figs, I say. Send a servant to my house, any one that you can spare. Let him fetch a bee-stings pudding, 2 gherkins, and the pies of hare. There should be 4 of them in all, if the cat has left them right. We heard her racketing and tearing round the larder all last night. Boy, bring 3 of them to us, take the other to my father. Cut some myrtle for our garlands, sprigs in flower, or blossoms rather. Give a shout upon the way to Carinides our neighbor, to join our drinking bout to-day, since heaven is pleased to bless our labor. The Harvest. From The Peace. Translation in the Quarterly Review. Oh, 'tis sweet when fields are ringing with the merry crickets singing, oft to mark with curious eye if the vine-tree's time be nigh. Here is now the fruit whose birth cost a throe to Mother Earth. Sweet it is, too, to be telling how the luscious figs are swelling, then to riot without measure in the rich nectareous treasure, while our grateful voices chime. Happy season, blessed time. The Call to the Nightingale. From The Birds, Frere's translation. Awake, awake, sleep no more, my gentle mate. With your tiny tawny bill, wake the tuneful echo shrill on vale or hill, or in her airy rocky seat. Let her listen and repeat the tender ditty that you tell, the sad lament, the dire event to luckless Itys that befell. Thence the strain shall rise again, and soar amain up to the lofty palace gate, where mighty Apollo sits in state in Jove's abode, with his ivory lyre, hymning aloud to the heavenly choir, while all the gods shall join with thee in a celestial symphony. The Building of Cloud Cuckoo Town. From The Birds, Frere's translation. Enter Messenger, quite out of breath, and speaking in short snatches. Messenger. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? The President. Pace the terrace. Pace the terrace, coolly. Here I am. Messenger, in a gasp of breath. Your fortifications finished. Pace the terrace. Well, that's well. Messenger. A most amazing, astonishing work it is. so that Theagenes and Proxenides might flourish and gasconade and prance away quite at their ease, both of them four in hand, driving abreast upon the breadth of wall, each in his own new chariot. Pace the terrace. You surprise me. Messenger. And the height, for I made the measurement myself, is exactly 100 fathoms. Pace the terrace. Heaven and earth! How could it be? Such a mass, who could have built it? Messenger. The birds, no creature else, no foreigners, Egyptian bricklayers, workmen, or masons, but they themselves, alone, by their own efforts, even to my surprise as an eye-witness. The birds, I say, completed everything. There came a body of 30,000 cranes. I won't be positive, there might be more, with stones from Africa in their craws and gizzards, which the stone curlews and stone chatterers worked into shape and finished. The sand martins and mudlarks, too, were busy in their department, mixing the mortar, while the water birds, as fast as it was wanted, brought the water to temper and work it. Pace the terrace, in a fidget. But who served the masons? Who did you get to carry it? Messenger. To carry it? Of course, the carrion crows and carrying pigeons. Pace the terrace, in a fuss which he endeavors to conceal. Yes, yes, but after all, to load your hods, how did you manage that? Messenger. Oh, capitally, I promise you. There were the geese, all barefoot, trampling the mortar, and when all was ready they handed it to the hods, so cleverly, with their flat feet. Pace the terrace, a bad joke as a vent for irritation. They footed it, you mean? Come, it was handily done, though, I confess. Messenger. Indeed, I assure you, it was a sight to see them, and trains of ducks there were, clambering the ladders with their duck legs, like bricklayers' prentices, all dapper and handy, with their little trowels. Pace the terrace. In fact, then, it's no use engaging foreigners. Mere folly and waste, we've all within ourselves. Ah, well now, come. But about the woodwork, eh? Who were the carpenters? Answer me that. Messenger. The woodpeckers, of course. And there they were, laboring upon the gates, driving and banging with their hard hatchet-beaks. And such a din, such a clatter as they made, hammering and hacking in a perpetual peal, pelting away like shipwrights, hard at work in the arsenal. And now their work is finished, gates and all, staples and bolts, and bars and everything, the sentries at their posts, patrols appointed, the watchmen in the barbican, the beacons ready prepared for lighting, all their signals arranged. But I'll step out just for a moment to wash my hands. You'll settle all the rest. Chorus of Women, from the Thesmophoria Zuzi, Collins' translation. They're always abusing the women as a terrible plague to men. They say we're the root of all evil, and repeat it again and again, of war and quarrels and bloodshed, all mischief, be what it may. And pray then, why do you marry us, if we're all the plagues you say? And why do you take such care of us, and keep us so safe at home, and are never easy a moment if ever we chance to roam? When you ought to be thanking heaven that your plague is out of the way, you all keep fussing and fretting, where is my plague to-day? If a plague peeps out of the window, up go the eyes of men. If she hides, then they all keep staring until she looks out again. End of section 38. Recording by Bob Gonzalez, Tampa, Florida.